Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Global Premier Football Show. And it's another wonderful weekend of football after the long international break. Oh, my goodness. How did we miss the Premier League? Well, here again, we're going to talk about it. And join with me as my co host today is my brother, Victor Cole. So, Victor, it was a beautiful weekend of football. There were a lot of surprises. There were a lot of expected results, and
Yep.
there were disappointments. So let's crack into it right away because I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this particular episode of our program, and that's one of the reasons why we love talking about football, right? And with the World Cup in view, players are looking forward to be in their optimum performance because they need to make their teams to the World Cup as well. So what let's look at the top six teams. You know, besides the star match of the weekend, I think there were two star matches. But we're going to focus on the
Yeah.
Manchester City as our star match of the week. But let's look at Arsenal, Spurs, and Liverpool. But before that, we're going to have a run through of the fixtures and the results, and you tell me your outstanding performance of the weekend. You know, especially with the top six teams. You know, funny enough, Brighton is now a top six team for this season.
They're both
That's
Chelsea.
well, don't go that way yet. Um, let's take it step by step. All right. So for this weekend, Arsenal had the first game of the weekend, the early kickoff, 3-1 against Spurs, and then followed Bournemouth and Brentford with 0-0. Crystal Palace, Chelsea won 2-1. Newcastle, Fulham playing at Craven Cottage. Newcastle came out 4-1 on top. Liverpool, Brighton, for me, is the surprise of the weekend. I don't know, you may disagree with me, but whatever. 3-3, Southampton, Everton, another surprise result for me, I think so. It's Everton pulling a 2-1 win. Wolves losing to West Ham. And the almighty Manchester Derby today. Manchester City, the noisy neighbors, according to Manchester United fans, 6. And Manchester United 3, and Leeds and Aston Villa 0-0. So let's look into Arsenal and Spurs. What? Give me your insights. What did you see from that game?
What a game to begin the week, right? It was a back and forth match, right? It was breathtaking. I think we should be paying more attention to Arsenal now. I mean, they've lost one game, 1-7. I mean, that's a massive. I mean, great run into the season. I'm actually quite surprised about the way they managed the game. Even the response of Shaka after that goal, when they were celebrating, if you observe, he called the players, and he's not a captain anymore. He called the players, "Hey guys, keep your heads, right? Let's stay focused. We need to win this match." So even though Spurs eventually level up, Arsenal will up to the task, and it's just a beautiful game of football to watch. And I think their manager is doing great. The players are listening to him. They are playing to instructions. Antonio Conte just looks like Spurs will always be Spurs, right? I mean, probably in their DNA, not to win trophy. We don't like Spurs. I don't like Spurs. So I'm glad they lost. You remember I told you a few episodes ago, I said I want to see their reaction once they lose a game. I mean, they lost two games now in 3, right? They lost in the Champions League, and then they lost now. So let's see how they pick themselves going forward. But generally, it was an amazing game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes back to what I saw from the game. As you said, what Xhaka is a leader in the team, whether he wears the band or not, but he's a leader and he's a player of experience. But again, I think Arsenal were very energetic. They took the game to Spurs right away, dominated completely for 90% of the game. Now, it took me back to when we tied 2-2 with Spurs earlier in the season. I think that was our second match of the season. For me, it shows how poor we were as Arsenal exposed Spurs. Arsenal exposed Spurs. And I think, again, I don't know what, it will take some time as well to see where the level of this Arsenal team is. What I mean level is their mental level, their mental capability and capacity to sustain this winning run. Now they're in Europe and we do not know how far they're going to go, but time will tell. Now, there's a lot we could talk about Arsenal, but anyway, let's look at the other guys also that played, because there's a lot to talk about, especially with the big game of the weekend. Liverpool and Brighton. What do you think? I mean, for me, I think Liverpool were scared by Brighton and they caved in. 3 goals, a hat-trick from Trossard. Yeah. I mean, for me, I believe that Liverpool is still missing Mane. No matter what, there's no replacement for Mane in anywhere in that team. Their new attacking signings are not living up to the expectations yet. Besides, it's like Firmino has stepped up his game and trying to get the goals. Salah is not scoring. Now, the question will be, will these new signings be patient to grow into Klopp's ideas and methods? Because if you ask me, I would say Liverpool have reached the diminishing return in football because of the high tempo they've played for 5 seasons now or thereabouts.
I don't think so. I just think the expectation on Nunes was huge, and he had a good start in the Community Shield game, better than Haaland. Haaland was now in that game, but since then we see what's going on now at City. I just felt he probably didn't manage himself properly in terms of settling into the game, gradually. It felt maybe, I've got this, right? He came on against Fulham. He scored a goal. I think with time, he'll probably get there. But I think the biggest mistake for Klopp this season was the lack of planning around the midfield area. Injury has not been kind to them this season. Defensively, Konate has been out, Matip in and out, so they had to play Joe Gomez in some games as well. The midfield, Thiago has been injured, Keita has been injured. Oxley Chamberlain, I don't know where that guy is right now, if it's even part of the team anymore. I mean, he's been injured forever.
I think because of injuries, right?
Yeah, it's been injured forever. Miller's old. Anderson's so I know Elliott is doing great. Jones can come in and step in, but they need an experienced, midfield player. And I think Otto Melo from Juve is having the same trouble as Zakaria. There's no match fitness yet, so they need to manage them properly. Now, the next 6 weeks will be key because they have Champions League, they have Arsenal, I believe they have City as well. So
they're playing Arsenal next.
So the next 6 weeks before the World Cup is very crucial for Liverpool. If you fall too far, then it might be difficult to bounce back. But what a game by Trossard.
I mean,
that man is.
I think, not to cut you out here, but I think Graham Potter has left a very, very huge impact in that club, that it would be a monumental task for the new coach to continue what Graham Potter has done. And to keep that going, because I mean they will be dreaming right now of where they could finish. Even if they don't finish in the top 4, they'll be dreaming of maybe Europe. Remember that season that Sean Dyche, took Burnley to Europa League, I guess. It's all about keeping the momentum. But we'll see how it goes. As you've mentioned, the next 6 weeks is very crucial to these clubs. Liverpool
and Trent. We got to talk about Trent. Attacking wise, amazing player. Defensive wise, is like a championship level sort of player.
But you can.
I know something is gonna be, having sleepless night over.
Let me tell you something. I think we can talk about Trent all day long, but there is something for Trent to be able to do this work. He needs also help of his defensive midfielders. That is the way I think Trent is built. It's not David. It's not Rhys James. It's not Alfonso Davies. So he does not have that physical capacity to be able to do all this job. Go up and down.
But Fabinho has also been injured this season, back and forth. There's a lot of work on Fabinho to do to carry the entire midfield, and not to mention Van Dijk have made a couple of terrible mistakes. Look at the goal yesterday, the first goal. The marking was wrong. He kept the player onside. I mean, for a big player like him, he should know well, should be able to read the game properly. That's why you're a leader at the back. So again, there's been troubles in every aspect.
The midfield.
Yeah, but most especially midfield has been.
The midfield, if you breach the midfield, no team functions without a proper midfield. Because the midfield, to attack the defense, you must go through the midfield. To get to the defense of the other team, you must go through the midfield.
Yeah.
So the midfield is the engine of the game, except you want to play long balls from the, just long balls back and forth. But for teams that play proper football, you must have a very strong midfield. And as you mentioned, to wrap it up on Liverpool, they did not make a proper planning for their midfield, the aging midfield. Okay. Well, that's by the way for Liverpool and Brighton. We'll move on to the next game here, which is the Blues. Our first win under Graham Potter. I told you yesterday, I'm still trying to grasp, the sacking of Tuchel, the quick change. I know that we are used to sacking managers, but this time it's something that no one expected. And our first game under him was a 1-1 tie against Salzburg in the Champions League. And yesterday we played and we won 2-1. That game, first half, let's look at that game first. I mean, we started with the lineup. You had Kepa, Reece, Wesley, Thiago, and Ben Chilwell. We went to a back four. So I was reading his comments on the fifth stand. He was trying to talk about the reason why he went to he chose the formation he chose, which is 4-2-2-2, right? And he said the players he had were the players that fit into that formation, and that he believed that going to a back four was the best option for the team at that time. So maybe that's why we have Koulibaly missing in the lineup, because it's not a back three. Now, with that, I was not really convinced with our midfield performance, honestly speaking. I was not convinced at all. We midfield, just this formation, 4-2-2-2. Okay, Kai Havertz missing Mount. Kai Havertz comes in, Sterling drifts out wide, Aubameyang drops into the middle. I think in attack we were attacking with a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 attacking, when we attacked. But I think again, Kovacic and Jorginho, they had a below performance. I mean, their performance for me was below par. I'm going to show you what you requested, which was the statistics of the team and how they performed. But again, we were not moving the ball better. We didn't move the ball well. Palace moved the ball swifter and smoother than we did. Sterling, I don't know. Sometimes I reason why Sterling left Manchester City, and I think it's because his decision making sometimes are not good enough compared to the type of manager he has that demands proper decision making, top decision making. He takes unnecessary touches Who tells me that Sterling cannot shoot? Why can't he shoot? There were situations that he found himself in position to shoot. He couldn't.
Sterling, that's the style of play, right? So I understand your point. And by the way, you're Sporting. Now the midfield, I felt we were dealt a blow because they were performing well below expectation. Kovacic and Jorginho. Uh, Kovacic tries in terms of the space, he covers.
He lost the ball many times.
I know. I mean, he's also in his DNA. He does all the time because he held on to the ball for too long, way too long, like Grealish. Release the pass, quick pass, one touch, let's move. Now, there are so many times Aubameyang made the run. Jorginho did try, in, in all fairness to him, to get to Aubameyang a couple of times, then more than he usually does, right? It does that in that game, and you can see some maybe level of improvement in him personally. His movement is better, but the quality is not there. And I believe with Kovacic, is probably lack of game fitness too. He just came back from injury, international, blah, blah, blah. But he's a guy I have a lot of confidence in, more than Jorginho.
I enjoy Kovacic when he's on his game.
Yeah.
But yesterday, maybe he could have done it a little bit quicker in terms of releasing the passes.
Of course.
Sometimes you don't have to do the same thing over and over. You become a little bit predictable. And that's why sometimes you get those injuries, but move the ball, take him on. He thinks you're going to take him on the next time you play a pass. That's what I think. Now, there is one thing I observed which has changed, with Graham Potter coming in, and that is the handling of substitution. He's not afraid to make changes, and he gives the subs enough game time to make an impression in the game. When you put in Conor, when you put in Roger, and when you put Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Now, I think he sees with Tuchel takes a lot of time. That's one thing I don't really, I did not understand properly. It took a lot of time. If the team is not struggling, that's fine. Okay, take time. But if the team is struggling to make an impact, just make some changes. It might just be energy level that has dropped. So you just make the changes and then bring up the energy level, because at some point, that's why we are unable to see out some important games sometime last season.
Yeah, I think Tuchel's biggest trouble were the way he reads the game, right? So sometimes he works like Lampard. Lampard, when it was at Chelsea, has this like premeditated substitutions in mind. Look, I'm going to do this at this time. So
that's fine, though. That's fine, because that is part of
if the game is going according to plan, it makes sense. If a game is not going according to plan, it doesn't make sense. So why stick?
It doesn't make sense, but you have also a second plan when your game doesn't make sense.
But Tuchel doesn't seem to do that. He always stick with the same three at the back, right? Even if we need a goal, even if we won't go down, what are you defending? So what Potter did yesterday, I wasn't expecting Aubameyang to come off, but I think he was trying to use a different kind of energy with Brocher, right? Again, there were some positives. Pulisic could have come in earlier. I remember at the beginning of the game, I was telling you I prefer Conor Gallagher, and this is the kind of game for Pulisic. It probably would need. I think if we have more direct play, Sterling and the kind of Pulisic taking on the defense of the opponent, it's probably better. Free more chances for the striker to sneak one in.
Yeah.
So again, there's some positivity in the game. I also think we had caught this, back and forth passes between two defenders. Yeah. I know maybe Silva doesn't have enough confidence giving the ball to Fofana because it looks like he made few mistakes with the passes, especially for the first goal too. So again, maybe the manager is trying to cut down the sloppiness of the team, but largely there was some positive to take from the game.
Now let's look at this right now, which is the stats for the game, and then we'll move on to the next thing here. So look at the stats for this game. Look at the rating. Silva was our highest rated player. Then followed by Pierre. And then Reece James.
Yeah, so, Reece James was the man of the match, in my opinion. Yeah. Silva was lucky to be on the field. I think maybe because the ball was too far from goal.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the referee decided it wasn't a record, even though the ball has already touched his hand before he grabbed it. Anyways.
Yeah. So I think James was in his game yesterday because he held Zaha. He just like pocketed Zaha yesterday,
Yep.
and I really enjoyed him, and he was not intimidated by Zaha. So that's good. And when it comes to we had the majority of the possession again, which is something normal. I mean, now look at our number of shots, total shots. But I think
And then versus on target.
yes, and on target. Wow, this speaks a lot of. I'm not sure we will never drop our possession style of football, but I think we may be more productive in the final third, and to be able to be a little bit direct. It doesn't have to be a little bit direct than playing all those useless wayward passes for me. Um, so, but if you look at the first half, we dominated first half.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we considered first.
Yeah.
Again, those things that we have to deal with. But one good thing is that we had a proper number 9 in the box who can shoot, who
What a
knows how to.
classic Didier Drogba kind of goal.
It was an awesome finish. I did not expect it, but the moment he turned, I said, forget
And
it.
what was Thiago Silva doing at the top?
I have no idea. It was not and it's not as if we were on a counter attack or that we were coming from a corner kick. It was a build-up play. So how he ended up there?
And he muzzled through. Was a precise header down to Aubameyang.
Yeah.
And what a swift turn. That's what Drogba does week in, week out. It was lovely for me to see. We were talking about this goal that Wilson scored for Newcastle a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That flick. I mean, that's how you don't have to score one-on-one with a goalkeeper, right?
No,
that's how you do it as a top striker. Any position.
It's an instinct.
Yeah,
lovely. That's why we must have a proper number 9. I don't care if it's Broja or Aubameyang. If Aubameyang is injured, we need to have a proper number 9. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about for center strikers or center forward. So, Chelsea, I'm happy that we were able to get off the mark with a 2-1 win, and that builds, helps us to prepare for AC Milan in the next Champions League game, and go on to, play Wolves next. All right, let's move on to the next game of the day for us here. Is that we're going to talk about Newcastle. For me, I think Fulham and Newcastle. For me, the upsets of the weekend, in my own opinion, because I saw Fulham doing well and they've come doing well and playing well. Mitrovic, putting up a very, very good effort and number of goals for Fulham. But what on earth did happen to them at Craven Cottage? So
I mean, it's tough when you got a player sent off. I believe was the 8th minute. And then you lose
Chalobah.
And then you lost your striker 25 minutes, 26 minutes later to injury. So again, we have to give respect to them. I think at the beginning of the season, I suggested they might be going down. But in fairness to their manager, I think they have actually handled their return to Premier League better this time around than they did last time. Newcastle, they've got a team already. They've got a team in place. They've got a manager in place. So Newcastle will continue to have this kind of, good, bad results as season goes. They'll win some, they'll lose some. We expect that from them. And Newcastle can beat any team any day. So for me, Newcastle winning them is not a newsflash. It's probably what's expected even at the full strength team for Fulham. But again, the match didn't start well for them. And then they lost their striker and everything just collapsed.
Yeah, I mean it was 1-4 for Newcastle, right? With that wonderful goal from Almiron.
Yeah,
was a good one, and let's see how Fulham will handle their next game, as they move to struggle. Their struggle continues. They have to play to stay in the Premier League. It's not good that they come and go. I mean, maybe they can take down another team.
Who
The
knows?
disappointment of the weekend, Victor. For me, it's Liverpool. Disappointment of the weekend, Liverpool. What a disappointment. Honestly speaking, I don't know what they are playing at the moment. There seems to be lack of cohesion. There seems to be um, coordination in the final third. There seems to be like a misunderstanding in terms of, you know, who do we trust with Liverpool's attack?
Mm.
Salah has not been up and playing. I don't think he's scored up to 4 goals since we started the season. And
Rough season. He's having a rough season, and he started before the season ended, right? This run of, they played 2 finals against Chelsea, they couldn't manage to go, and they played the Champions League final, they couldn't manage to go. This has been an existing problem for Liverpool before the season ended, but to add to that trouble was a loss of money. Money brought this kind of different sort of energy
yes,
into that team. I think Diaz might be the guy to step up. Who knows? We probably need to give him some time to see if he has what it takes. But Salah himself needs to step up his game. Firmino is still a guy that can always fall back on. And I love the fact that they kept him, even though they bought a new striker. He's still an experienced guy. His
yes,
experience is required, needed in the team. I believe they will bounce back if they can figure out a way to manage that, that midfield trouble.
yes.
And by the time they get Jota back as well from injury, I think things might fall in place. For me, the disappointment of the weekend will be the game today, Villa against Leeds. I just don't understand. Steven Gerrard doesn't seem to understand. He's not better than the previous manager. He's not. I don't care what people say. The previous manager wasn't that bad, right? The results were not going their way. They lost Grealish, blah, blah, blah. They invested. It was a lot of pressure on the manager to manage the additional 3-4 new players they brought in. It's tough. But this time around, Giroud is not doing anything great. I don't even understand their style of play. They don't seem to have one. They were playing against a 10-man list today from the early second half, and they couldn't get a goal. I mean, for me, performance, Aston Villa is not good enough. There's nothing you can say. There's no but or maybe the manager is not doing enough. I mean, it's not doing a great job, in my
Okay.
opinion. Yeah.
All right. That's fair to say. But
Very disappointing. Even to watch, it is disappointing.
well,
Ball draw in the
it,
Premier
it
League. Are you kidding me?
it's I think again goes back to that favoritism given to ex-English players to coach. So let's see how he handles it. Hopefully, he learns on it and move forward and improve. So, but
On the
the
other
star
hand,
match of the weekend, yeah,
On the other hand, Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard is unbeaten, I believe, 7 games now in our competition. Unbeaten. Again, at the
okay.
beginning of the season, they struggle, right? They lost to Chelsea.
Lampard has learned a lesson, I think so. So let's see. He's going to work with that lesson. Gerrard is still yet to learn that because, I mean, with all respect to the Scottish, Premier League,
Yeah.
you cannot compare it even with the Championship in England. So it's a very difficult league in England. So let's see how Gerrard will handle it because I think this will be his first very tough assignment as a coach.
I think he's gonna get fired.
Well, we'll see. Manchester City and Manchester United. This was the star game of the week. Manchester United crumbled first half and finished off crumbling in the second half. Although there was, some sort of, spark here and there when they, brought in Martial. But what about
it wasn't because of that. It was because of the substitution by Pep. Pep changed the entire thing, gave them young boys to play with. Listen, it's a beautiful game of football to watch. If I'm a Manchester United fan, irrespective of the 2 goals scored by Martial, I'll still cover my face.
Yeah, definitely. My United fans were leaving the stadium
At
First
halftime.
half.
Yeah.
Before the first half finished, not even a halftime. Before the first half finished,
It was 4-0.
they were leaving the stadium. City were physically stronger than United in all the departments of the game. All United players were a disaster for me in the first half. They
Yep.
can't put in a tackle, use their shoulders, etc. They were bullied and shut down. No aggression, players switching off. Tactically, City were more than dominant. Every moment of the game, every movement on and off the field, on and off the ball rather, was working, which is normal for City's game. They move, whether before their teammates get the ball, they've moved. The next potential receiver moves the ball. Man United, I was observing them, they were all reactionary. After a teammate receives the ball, that's when they start making movement.
Yeah,
but that's different from Man City. And this was a repetition of their display against Brentford. Technically, City looked out of this world, and United players all looked like high school footballers. All of them. There was lack of belief. They never kicked the ball. I was like, what are they trying to do? Psychologically, United were like no zeal, no
first half was
intimidated.
Yeah, it was bad. Now the second half was better though. Earlier second half for United, they started well. They moved the ball quicker, but then it just feels like sometimes you might want to do things, but then you just don't have it, right?
It's just that belief. You don't know if it's going to work for you again.
Yes. Yes.
There was something missing. I'm sorry, but Sancho was useless for Man United today. Can't keep the ball, can't pass the ball, gave the ball away, leading to City's fifth goal. What was he doing? City's player movement and their teammates are like, they know where everyone is going to. They just know their movement. So, like, I'm a fan of, yes, if you are in the final third, yes, do the dribble and carry the ball. But if you're in the creative zone, in the middle, let the pass do the movement of the ball. Move, collect, pass, move. That was what Man City were doing. See how De Bruyne was bullying Man United players today.
That second goal from Haaland, the pass from De Bruyne to find Haaland almost near post at the end of the line.
And he threw himself into it. Where did he come from?
In my mind, I say to myself, this is what we thought Lukaku would do.
Oh, yeah, Lukaku died.
For a guy that big, that powerful, requires a lot to run up and down the channel. Had 5 goals involvement in 6 goals. That is astonishing. It's amazing to watch. Now we have to give credit to Anthony. That goal that is called
it was world class. It was world class.
Wardy.
It was world class. But I think again, he was one of the outstanding players for Man United today.
Of course. Again, I wonder, and I've asked you this off camera, if the manager had a specific, football reason why he's not playing Ronaldo. I think in a game like this, Ronaldo should have started. Maybe we'll have given them some edge. Try to create some sort of fear in the opposition's mind, right? Make the defender feel like, oh, we are in for a ride today, right?
Yeah.
But when you have Martial, you've got
Rashford.
You go Rashford. All what those guys were thinking is, I'm going to give you space to let you run, and I'm going to try to catch up with you, because that's what they do. You can only outplay me if you outrun me. Without that, it's not happening.
So I think, you mentioned Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo brings a personality into the game, which I do not know the reason why. Is it that 7-8 games into the season with Europa Conference League games already played, he is not yet match fit because of his preseason, which he didn't do well. I don't know what the problem is, but I think Ronaldo should have played this game, even if it is 60 minutes.
Ten Hag is overthinking. It's definitely overthinking. 4-time Champions League winner on the bench, Ronaldo. 5-time Champions League winner, Casemiro on the bench. Those guys had their heads in their hands.
They were ashamed of wearing that.
What are we doing here?
They were ashamed of wearing that shirt today, from what I saw. Their reaction on
and you're playing McTominay.
McTominay for Casemiro, I don't know. McTominay is a championship player.
It's a
I'll say it
sausage. It's
again.
a sausage without taste.
I mean,
No flavor.
I mean, he can run and do all this stuff, but I mean, today no one was going, no one was tackling, no one was pushing, no one was shoving, no one was being physical. You know, with Man City players, they were bullied, they were shut down, they were they were just mistreated and abused today. Man United was out, they were abused today by Manchester City. And that is not acceptable for anyone that has played for Man United, for anyone that enjoys watching, you know, the Manchester Derby, because it was a one-sided game. Just take a look at this. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Overall, yes, 54% possession, but 22 shots, 10 shots on target for Manchester City.
They could have caught loads, more goals.
10 shots, scoring 6, 9 fouls by Man United, 5 corner kicks. Just look at this. Big chances created, passes, everything. They just shut
Phil
them down. They just
Foden,
destroyed
what
them.
a tiny but mighty boy.
He is a physically strong player and technically world class.
Believe me, he has the same physical strength of Silver in the midfield and Modric, and with all due respect to Modric. But those tiny guys, but they can move mountain. That's what Foden does. And the way he finds space, the second goal he scored, our Haaland found him with that true collie pass, had the other hand, and he muzzle bundle everybody into the net.
Well, we can go all day talking about this Manchester United and Manchester City team. But if you just look at the statistics here, just look at the player performances, all down. Anyway, the McTominay that we're trying to criticize is he's got 7.2 rating for his performance.
How did Marcus Rashford get 6.5? It did not.
I mean, anyway, that's all for us today, man. Honestly, because there's a lot we can talk about these guys, but we'll leave it here as we look forward to their next games in the Champions League, in the Europa Conference League. Your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Sadly, Bruno Lage is gone at Wolves. I feel sad for him. I think he probably needed time after losing the experienced players in Cody, Bowley, and Dunker.
He let them go. He didn't want them.
Certainly, Majesty has a job. He's won more games than them, and Leicester manager still has a job. I think he probably deserves some time, but I guess managers don't have time.
Managers don't have time. They don't have time. I mean, Bruno Lage, I don't know if he's trying to create a second Portuguese national team in Wolves. It's up to him there. Unfortunately, I don't like when managers get fired. Sometimes it's what has to happen. So, looking at the league standings here, we have Arsenal on top with 21 points, Manchester City second, 20, Tottenham third with 17, unbelievable, Brighton fourth and Chelsea fifth, and Manchester City United sixth. Down at the bottom, it's still cooking for Leicester.
It's not cooking, bro. They're not cooking.
They're cooking to go down to the championship. Anyway, Victor, that's all that we have to entertain today for this weekend's roundup of the Premier League. It's a fantastic weekend, and we're looking forward to the next one. Meanwhile, enjoy the Champions League. And all for our fans and viewers, like, follow, and share with your friends. Thank you very much for tuning in to Global Premier Football. Have a wonderful day, wherever you are, morning, afternoon, or evening. Cheers, and bye for now.
Bye.